right, we're going to begin with the candidates for Post 2 of the Fannin County Board of Commissioners. If anybody has questions that they would like to submit for consideration, Mr. Vanoy has index cards and a pen. If you'll just raise your hand, somebody will bring that to you. And then if you'll return it to him, then we'll take any questions that the audience has into consideration. We have 4 candidates for Post 2 of the Fannin County Board of Commissioners, and we'll hear from all of them. We have incumbent Larry Joe Sosby, Glenn Patterson, Tripp Ritchie, and Dixie Carter. So we'll hear from all of them. We'll begin with opening statements. They'll have 3 minutes each to make their opening statements, and we'll begin with incumbent Larry Joe Sosby.
Hello, I am Larry Joe Sosby. I'm your current Post Commissioner. And I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this, as well as all of you for being here. I'm married to Shirley Sosby. Together we have 3 children. We have 6 grandchildren. I run Martin Tire half of the last 26 years, and we have had a pretty good business through the days of the boom and just currently, and then the past days. But I've lived in Fannin all my life, and I've been a Republican all my life. When I first ran for this office, my platform was the safety and prosperity of each citizen of Fannin County, and I feel like I've lived up to that pretty much. And if re-elected, I will continue to work for each of you, although I don't have any degrees or anything to prove anything by, but I do have a high school education, and all it takes is common sense to run this office. And I will work for you the same as I have in the past 8 years, and if re-elected, and I thank y'all.
Thank you. Next, Dixie Carter.
First off, I'd like to thank the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce and the Community Theater for hosting the event and organizing it. And also, I'd just like to thank all of you for coming out and participating. That's, what is required to make all this work is for the citizens to be involved and hold our elected officials accountable. So I'll just give a little bit of brief background about myself. I am a native Georgian. I was born in LaGrange, Georgia. I'm an 8th generation Georgian, which I'm very proud of. I'm a big history buff, so I know all these family history stuff. So anyway, when I was around 13, my mother and my stepfather moved to Dalton, Georgia, because my stepfather got a job in one of the carpet companies, and that's how I ended up in North Georgia. So I've been in North Georgia ever since. Started off in Dalton, went to Ringo, and I'm here in Blue Ridge. I did take a side trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee to attend UTC. As far as my education, I did graduate from Dalton High School. I know that's a big rivalry, but that was a long time ago. So I went on to Dalton State College, and then I went on to UTC and got my bachelor's in social work. Later, much later, actually 2010, I decided to return to graduate school and, move my degree up a little, or my skills up higher, and went back to graduate school at Kennesaw State University and got a master's in social work. And I was 50 years old. I thought I was going to be the oldest in the class, but I wasn't. So that was a good thing. But there was a lot of young people in my class, and I learned a lot from them. But really, the big thing about my story is that it was really never meant for me to attend college. I struggled through the public school system. At that time in the 60s and 70s, you just kind of did what you did and they moved you on. And I had dyslexia, and I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with that. And so after a while, I got further and further behind, and I I guess I kind of gave up on school, and I went to work when I was 15 years old at the Bonanza in Dalton, Georgia, if y'all remember that. So I dedicated myself to working, and I worked hard. Every job I've ever had, I've worked hard and did what I could to do it the best, whether it was, sweeping or making sandwiches. But what got me...
Ms. Carter, I'm sorry,
wow.
your time's up.
Thanks, I'll return later.
Okay. Mr. Patterson?
I'd like to thank y'all for being here. I was looking, it's kind of thinned out a little bit. Don't know what that means, but it's good to see a good crowd here tonight anyway. And I know the time's getting late. You've heard the old saying, less is more. So we'll try to keep it short and sweet, but meaningful to you. I'd like to start by saying just a few words about the National Day of Prayer today. It's always first Thursday. We went to McKaysville. I know there's all over the county, Blue Ridge, Morganton. I think somebody told me Hemptown. But it's good to be in a county that recognizes the power of prayer. And I appreciate all the groups that organize that event. I want to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this, Government Affairs Committee, Ms. Bedez, appreciate you. And also the theater, the community theater. Last but not least, I want to thank my wife. She's always stood by me during all this process. If you want to know anything about me, they always say, ask you why. Tell them, honey, I'm precious, right? Where are you? There she is right up there at the top. All right, I'm a Christian conservative, believe in the Second Amendment, right to life. My background is a Fannin County native, Epworth Elementary School. We're the Eagles in West Fannin. I have business experience in retail. I have a Bachelor of Business Administration at Georgia State University. My primary experience is 33 years in education. The last 25 has been here in Fannin County as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and principal. 4 out of 5 schools served. I've served 4 out of the 5 schools here in Fannin County. I know a great deal about its people, did some good networking, and just found a feel for the people and developed some good relationships within the school system with kids, parents, grandparents, bus drivers, and so forth. I'm the chair of the Fannin County Sports Hall of Fame. I've been inducted as athlete in 2016, vice chair of Fannin County's Christian Learning Center for the last 9 years, and I'm a member of Epworth First Baptist Church. The driving force of my campaign has been a passion to help good people of Fannin. I want to facilitate a spirit of cooperation and goodwill that will enhance greater communication and unity within all facets of local government. Working together in unity, we can make a positive impact in Fannin. And I'm saying that because when we was at the day of prayer today, their theme was unity. And I think that's what it's all about, working together. People want and deserve, I believe, to be heard, okay? They need to be treated with dignity and respect, just like your mother or grandmother. When I announced my candidacy, many people voiced concern about the divisiveness on board meetings and the board. And this gives a bad impression on our county overall. I want to help change that. I have an open door policy.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you. I'm Trip Ritchie, and I'd first like to acknowledge my wife. She's number one in my life, and my campaign manager. He's a retired firefighter. He's my cousin, Alan Ritchie. And this is the first time I've ever run for office. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel of Marines, so I've had probably the most critical responsibilities that I'll ever have in my life. But this is important to me. If you've moved as often as I have, to be able to come back to your hometown and run for office is pretty special. When you're on the battlefield, you have to have a place that you go to in your mind to give yourself a little respite. For me, that's Jack's River. I'm looking out there and I see an incredible audience. That's what a politician would say. I'm not a politician. I'm a pragmatist. I see a problem and I go try to fix it. I can tell you this, integrity is the most important part of my life. I think integrity determines where you end up in your life. Integrity is more than just telling the truth. Integrity is how you treat people. It's how you treat your neighbors. It's how you treat your family. It's how you treat the people that can't do anything for you. Without integrity, you don't have anything. I still decided to run. Okay. I think we can work together. I'm pretty sure we can. Who out there thinks that we can work together? I'd like to try just one thing. If you would repeat after me, boy, do I feel good. Okay, wait till I say it first. Boy, do I feel good. Okay, well, I think some of us can work together. I'm looking at the audience. The challenges that we have are based on an incredible rate of growth. And there's been some discussion on the population and other areas of strategic planning. But if you want to see somebody's eyes roll back in their head, start talking about strategic planning when you're out on the campaign trail. I hope to have an opportunity to answer a question about this, because there's a difference between a joint comprehensive plan like we have here and a comprehensive master plan. Those are two different plans, and I'd like to go over the differences at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now start the question part of the forum for these folks. The first question will be addressed to Larry Sosaby, the incumbent, and then each candidate will answer the same question afterwards. Are you in favor of, and would you support the construction of a county aquatic center? If so, would you be in favor of a county and of the counties and the cities working together to accomplish that goal?
Could you repeat that, please?
I will. Are you in favor of, and would you support the construction of a county aquatic center? If so, would you be in favor of the county and the cities working together to accomplish that goal?
Yes, I would be in favor of it, and I would be in favor of the counties working together on it. I really would.
Good. Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Yes, I've heard several citizens mention having a indoor swimming pool, especially the senior population really benefits from that type of exercise, and it would be a very beneficial to focus on our health and wellness. Also, I think that regional collaboration is a good thing. We border some very good, solid counties, and we would all benefit from an aquatic center, and I see no problem in working in partnership.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson?
Well, I would be open to look at it. I really would. A lot of factors come into play, of course, especially paying for it. But I certainly would be open to look at it. I think it would help our overall population with the exercise. I'm all for that. I think the recreation center's done a good job with the walking track. There's a lot of population go out there, but I certainly would open the doors for talking with the city and seeing what we can come up with. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Ritchie?
I'm for swimming. The challenge that we have is that we need a 5-year capital improvements plan. We should encourage everybody to have input from the community. We seem to forget that we're representing the citizens of Fannin County. We need to let them have a voice in what goes into our capital improvements plan. And you can't do that without actually having a capital improvements plan. And I'm very hopeful. I'm very encouraged. I've noticed that the mayor and the new city council of Blue Ridge have initiated strategic planning. Perhaps they can lead the way.
Thank you.
All right, the next question, we will start with Ms. Carter. Until recently, minutes of the county commission meetings have not been available on the commission's website. At one point in February of 2018, the available minutes stopped at the November meeting minutes and have only recently been brought current. What do you propose to do to make the work of the commission more transparent and open to consideration by the citizens?
I think getting those minutes available to the citizens in a timely manner is, I don't see why that would be an issue. You know, you put them on the website, you have somebody type them up, they're right there taking them during the board meetings. So I think maybe there needs to be some leadership in getting that done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you like me to repeat the question, Mr. Patterson?
Yes, please.
Okay. Until recently, the minutes of the county commission meetings have not been available on the commissioner's website. At one point in February 2018, the available minutes stopped at the November meeting minutes and have only recently been brought current. What do you propose to do to make the work of the commission more transparent and open to consideration by the citizens?
Technology. Well, I think that's a small issue. I think that can be corrected just by paying a little more attention and the committee commissioners getting together, working on that. It should be. I mean, all the constituents, y'all need to know what's going on there. But I think that could be worked out, and it should be worked out. It's a very important thing for you to know and to be aware of what's going on. But I think that could be something that we could solve fairly quickly. Thank you.
I have a different take on this. I don't think we have enough public debate or public comments. It seems to me that we have a chairman that has weaponized the commission meetings. His weapon is the agenda. He's the sole controller of that agenda. We have 3 minutes. Can you imagine trying to discuss a very technical question in 3 minutes before the meeting starts? What we need are quarterly town halls. We need to be able to foster public debate. We need to know what's going on. We need the community not to be attacked if you have an opposing view. I spent 6.5 years with the town of Hilton Head Island. I've gone to hundreds of town meetings. I've never been so embarrassed to see our citizens attacked, staff attacked, commissions attacked, as I've witnessed here in this county. We need to do better. We can do better.
Mr. Sophie? Until recently, minutes of the county commission meetings have not been available on the commissioner's website. At one point in February 2018, the available minutes stopped at the November meeting minutes and have only been recently brought current. What do you propose to do to make the work of the commission more transparent and open to consideration by the citizens?
I propose to check into it as soon as possible. I wasn't aware of that. And I also will meet with the other two commissioners in a meeting, and we will discuss that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson, you'll start us off with the next question.
Okay.
There are derelict homes and properties in Fannin County with trash all over the property, tires, metal, garbage, old cars, and trucks, etc. How can we get them cleaned up?
Well, certainly, if it's a hazard, we need to get those cleaned up. And littering and those type of things is an issue. If we're a tourist attraction town, we need to make sure that our county looks right and is attractive to all of our visitors as well, so they want to come back. But again, it's a commission issue. We need to look at it, and we need to look at it very carefully because that's an important issue, just for safety's sake as well, for all of our citizens here. So that needs to be addressed, and addressed quickly. Thank you.
Mr. Ritchie?
Litter is a problem, and one of the phenomenons I've noticed is that construction it seems to be a contributor to the litter issue. We need to have an ordinance that will allow due process for anybody that has litter on their property or used cars or any of those type items. Once in my little shallow creek, I had a paddle float right by me. I knew somewhere upstream there was an individual without a paddle. Okay. We can encourage volunteerism to address this issue, but we need a systematic approach. We need to be fair to the citizens, but we need to take care of it.
Thank you. Mr. Sosaby?
Our land development lady is running up and down the roads pretty much all the time by our request. We try to stay on top of all these junk cars and everything that's in between. Matter of fact, on Mobile Road right now where I live, we've got a junkyard started. We have put a stop work order on the building of it out there. And the garbage is by these private haulers that don't cover their trucks. She has also been at the trash dump out here and citing people for not having covers over the trucks. But this is something that's not new to this board that we're sitting on. We go through this on a 24/7 basis. It's harder to get stuff done than it is to talk about it.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Yes, I heard them discussing this in a board meeting recently, and there is some policies out there that apply to this issue. I feel very strongly about it. You know, the road around where I live, I go out and pick up the garbage maybe every 2 months, maybe sooner, because I care about how you know, where I live, how it looks. And we live in a very scenic area, and that is a big draw for everyone, and we want to keep it looking nice. But I think maybe doing things a little more quickly would maybe clean up some of these properties. I mean, you can't just have a junkyard next door with cars in the front yard and trash and so that's it.
Thank you.
All right, on the next question, we'll start with Mr. Ritchie. Would you support changing the county commission board from 3 members to 5 members? If so, would you support the idea of segmenting the county into 5 commission districts where a board member is elected to a specific district?
Yes, and I'd go one step further. I'd change the form of government between a volunteer elected board and a manager. I think we need a professional that has training experience in public policy, public administration, public finance to have continuity of our government so we can move forward.
Okay, Mr. Sosby?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't agree to a 5-man board, not on the commission board. Three people is enough to butt heads on these decisions that we make, and you'd have to be at some of our meetings to find out from the past 8 years. But 5 men I wouldn't vote for, and I don't think that we need them whatsoever.
Okay, Ms. Carter?
Recently, I was at a city council meeting, and I think they have 5 members, and it seemed to work pretty good. So yes, I think 5 members would be a good idea because it would not, with 3, there's not enough, there's a monopoly on the vote. You know, it's almost like it's rigged. So I think it's a good idea. I don't know too much about the district situation. I know some larger counties do have that, and I don't know if our population really needs that. So, thanks.
All right, Mr. Patterson?
Well, I've looked into it a little bit. I think, we could discuss it, but I think the biggest thing is to get good people. Get people that you can trust, the people of Fannin County, and to get people that will work together collaboratively for a common goal and to help the county. There's things you got to look at when you have a 5-member board. It's going to be a little more money, and there could be some issues that come up as well with having 5. But I would look at it, but I would, think that you need to look at having good people on there, that's strong people. That's my stand on it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Mr. Sosebee. Do you support a standalone library for Fannin County? If yes, how would you propose to pay for the new library? If not, why not?
I've always supported a standalone library. We need to get it out of the courthouse. We need the room. At one point in time, we offered to construct a library back during Mr. Simon's term out at the rec department, and kind of fell through the cracks. But supporting it, we could support it with Splosh, and we'd have to look at other terms. We've got a fire station going right now that we're trying to get paid for, but I wouldn't put the county in any bond debt whatsoever for any facility. I think that we could do finance this in a manner and pay for one project at a time as we go. All the war stories, I had to go to school last week, and all the war stories we heard from other counties down there where they've had several different things going on, and it's deeply in debt. We have a good fund balance. Fannin County is doing really well right now. And but yes, I would support getting it out of the courthouse and standalone library.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Yes, I would also support a standalone library. That's one of my main issues or concerns. I think a library for this county would benefit it greatly. The more exposure the kids can get to reading and being in a library, the better. And a library is more than just lending out books these days. They can help people fill out government forms, help them understand, different forms that they need to complete. Even some libraries are hiring social workers, which, I'm in agreement with that. I am a social worker, so that's a good thing to provide like more of a case management services for people, because there's a lot of needs out there. And even having a free meeting space would be good for Fannin County, where groups can meet, or even where you can give seminars about health and nutrition, or how to choose the best health insurance. So there's so many benefits to a good library. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson?
As Ms. Carter stated, there are a lot of benefits to a library. You've got to look at everything. I would not want to get any more debt on the county, but I think a library would be great, and I'll be willing to look at that and see what we could do as far as the budget is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ritchie?
I'm for books. I'm for the library, I'm for the mission, but this is starting to sound a lot like the new fire station. It's a reactionary comment. It's you could say I'm for any type of facility. We're talking facilities. We're talking capital improvements program. If it's not in the capital improvements program, you end up starting construction without knowing how you're going to pay for it. You can't complete the facility, which is a critical need of our county, a fire station. So if we're going to copy that process, I think we ought to stop building reactionary facilities and create a 5-year capital improvements plan.
Thank you.
All right, the next question will start with Ms. Carter. And what are your thoughts about the effects of tourism on Fannin County?
I think tourism is a good thing. It brings a lot of dollars into the economy here. It's provided us with a very nice and enjoyable downtown area, and a lot of events come to the area. So, but I think you've got to have a balance, because you don't want to forget about, just the working people of Fannin County and focus on the tourism. You got to have a balance in that.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson?
Well, I think tourism is great. We have been benefiting from it for quite some time, and I think we need to work together with the Chamber and the other businesses that coordinate with it, because we need to have facilities when these tourists come that accommodate them. We need to have our safety departments ready, our police, our paramedics if someone gets hurt. We need to have everything as far as our trails and things ready as far as that goes. So it's a concerted effort between our county and also our chamber. Chamber also needs some funds so they can advertise and get people up here. But we all know that the best advertisement is word of mouth. We want people coming back, going back to where their homes are with the thought that they had a great vacation and they're coming back again. So they're going to talk about Fannin County. Thank you.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. Our economy is based on the tourist industry here in Fannin County. The organization that is the lifeblood of that economy is the Chamber of Commerce. In the town of Hilton Head Island, where I was the facilities manager, the town was 4 miles by 10 miles, and we had 40,000 residents in that little space, completely surrounded by water. We had 1.7 million visitors a year. We're always rated in the top 5 in destinations. The way that we did that was through master planning. Dixie's right. We have to balance the other type of businesses that provide jobs, good jobs to our residents. Glenn is right. We need to make sure that we have a public safety master plan so that we're supporting and able to surge our capabilities to fight fires when we have 6,000 residents here on the weekend. We haven't even calculated how to do that.
All right, Mr. Sosby?
Repeat that one time for me. I've got a good answer for some of that.
What are your thoughts about the effects of tourism on Fannin County?
The thoughts on tourism in Fannin County is the backbone of Fannin County. And as these guys, Mr. Ritchie, I believe it was, spoke that we don't have a plan. We've got a plan. We planned with the cities in McCaysville and Blue Ridge. Our fire department furnishes fire. Our EMS furnishes all the EMS and the ambulances for them. We're top notch from any county in the state of Georgia. We've never lost a home or as far as on the weekends or anything, to my knowledge, in the past little while. But to degrade basically our fire department and our EMS is beneath me. And Miss Hackett right there and the people at the chamber are second to none. They do a fantastic job, and it takes more than word of mouth. It takes advertising from here all over the country to pull these people in here. And without these tourists, they wouldn't be in Fannin County. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
what is your motivation for running for this office?
My motivation's been very simple. I'm a native here. I have always felt, and especially since I've been retired, a deep sense of responsibility and obligation to the people that's helped raise me, the good people of Fannin County. I want to give back to the county. I want to do what it takes. I want to work hard and make this the very best place it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ritchie.
Yes. First, I'd like to address that last comment by Mr. Sosby. And I'm a reporter. I've interviewed several firefighters, both volunteer and paid. They asked me to bring these issues to the commissioner's attention. They felt like the commission didn't have their back. I protect my sources. I think it would be unethical for me to write a story during a campaign about this issue. But after the campaign's over, I'll be glad to develop their concerns. It's safety. The reason I'm running is just that. I want to make sure that the public has a voice. We get shut down when we bring up a concern. Instead of being a good leader and going and interviewing all these firefighters, they hold up a 2004 certificate. A good leader is responsible for accomplishing the mission and taking care of their people. I just don't see that, Larry.
Mr. Sosabe, the question is, what is your motivation for running for this office?
My motivation is to run for this office like it was 8 years ago. I've run on this platform for the safety and well-being of these citizens of Fannin County. And I also feel that is dear to me today. The stuff that we're getting into with he and I were talking about, we've kept tools for our people, ambulances, new ones, year after year. Tanker trucks. We've done so much for this, and it ain't that we don't go to them. They come to us, and we go to them as well. I don't know where your source is, sir, but I hear nothing what you're talking about. And it's not that the people are afraid to come to us, because we got an open door just like everybody else have open door policy.
Thank you. Ms. Carter,
Could you repeat the question?
what is your motivation for running for this office?
Well, as a social worker, I've spent about over 35 years serving others. I've worked in mental health, community mental health. I've been a child protective services investigator. I've worked in hospice and home health care. So I have a variety of experience. And I do, one big thing that motivates me is that I have been to the meetings, and I have a sense that, people feel like they're not being listened to, their concerns aren't being addressed, and there's just a very negative energy at that meeting. I don't know any other way how to put that. But I believe that I have the skills that I've learned over the years in how to problem solve and work with people. And being a commissioner would just move that forward into more community interventions versus interventions with the individual. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question, we'll start with Mr. Ritchie. Okay, it says, if elected, will you take action to make sure our residents can recycle here and refuse to sign any waste disposal contract for the county that does not include comprehensive recycling?
First, I'd like to finish the last issue. One of my sources gave me a document that indicated that the World Health Organization has upgraded diesel exhaust to a carcinogen. He indicated that our fire stations are not vented. That's a violation of NFPA standard 1500 chapter 9. That's in violation of International Building Code. That's in violation of the Industrial Ventilation Guide.
Mr. Ritchie, if you could,
Yes.
if you just stick with the question that we're asking at this point in time, rather than, we don't want to get into a debate between the different candidates.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'd be for recycling as long as it was competitively bid and is included in the budget.
Thank you. Mr. Sosby?
I would also be for recycling too, if it was in a bid, as he says. But with the waste treatment that we've got right now, it's a rollover bid, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job of it. They've kept us clean for a long time.
Ms. Carter?
I am all for recycling services. I do think not being able to take glass is a big deal. There's a lot of bottles out there, and I pick up a lot of them on the roadside. So really being, proactive and really looking at these contracts before signing them and would be an improvement. Thanks.
Mr. Patterson?
I agree with the other people here on the candidacy. I believe that we need to recycle. I think it would be great. We just need to have a bid for it, and we need to check it with the budget. But I think that would be a super thing for us to have, especially with the glass, as Dixie said. Thank you.
All right, we are going to move to the closing statement portion. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to come up and make their closing statement. Mr. Sosby, we'll start with you.
Again, thank each of you for being here. As your post commissioner, I've helped keep the millage rate at an all-time low. I've supported fire, EMS, law enforcement, as I think y'all found out a while ago. It's dear to my heart for these guys that fight for us. Helping provide with all the tools they need, such as fire trucks, tankers, patrol cars, as well as new ambulances each every year. This fall, our fire EMS 911 center will be moving in their new facility. I've supported the chamber, the library, and the animal control as well. I did, Gene, whether you believe it or not. But and I also believe that we need in the near future to move out of the library, out of the courthouse, and our old fire station will be torn down to make several more parking spaces. We as a board have saved the county thousands of dollars by being good stewards of your money. We have a good fund balance. We paved more roads in the past 8 years than years before. So if re-elected, I will still work as hard as I have in the past 8. So with your support and vote in 20 seconds, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
I want to be a commissioner of Fannin County because I want to be an advocate for the people of Fannin County and work to enhance their quality of life, whether it means improving the recreational facilities or whether it means continue to have our public safety departments have the latest and greatest equipment. I believe my experience as a social worker has given me the tools to be an effective and ethical commissioner. As a social worker, I abide by the code of ethics, and that does not stop when I leave my workplace. It carries on into my life. And also, I want to be a public service. I want to be in public service because of we have to listen to the citizens. That's why we are public service. It's different, as you all know, from just working in a corporation. And also, I want to improve where all citizens feel like they're listened to and respected, and work together to resolve some of the problems. I do believe that we all benefit when we work together to find solutions that will help our community thrive. Thanks. And thank you all for being here.
Mr. Patterson.
I would like to first just respond quickly to yesterday's newspaper by a current Post 2 commissioner. He portrayed me as an arrogant, egotistical person bragging about my education, basically, in a nutshell. I want to begin by sincerely apologizing if I've offended the incumbent in any way, as it was certainly not my intent. He has said in the past there's no difference between us, and I have nothing more to offer than what he has. Well, it looks like he's reconsidered on that. I admit many people are smarter than I am. I've had the privilege to work with some. I have worked hard for my education, sacrificed many years, but I've always tried to be humble, never told anyone that I'm smarter. Matter of fact, a cafeteria manager once said when I was in the school system that I was country as cornbread. I took that as a compliment because I'm proud of my heritage here in Fannin County. Education is not a bad thing. In our competitive world, it's important to take advantage of any edge you have right now. Common sense is great, but add education to it, and it's an important edge that should help any county, especially when we're competing against Gilmer and Union, those type of things. I'm going to be very honest before my campaign. Many people have told me that our incumbent is not approachable, and he pushes people away with his demeanor. They said he's burned some bridges along the way. When one is not approachable, it obviously hinders good communication, which is necessary to make sound government decisions. That just makes good common sense to me, right? I respect our incumbent as a person and as an opponent, but I will not be dragged into any petty arguments. If I'm elected, I will stay focused on local government affairs, as that's what you will hire me to do. Yes, we do have differences, and I believe the good people of Fannin County will recognize these differences as well. Thank you, and I humbly ask you to vote in the seat, post 2, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Ritchie.
2 minutes?
Yes.
This is the facets of Fannin County. It's the history of Fannin County. If you look here on the front cover, there's an old cabin that's off of Pack Creek Road. It used to be in a town called Cad. My father was born in that cabin in 1930. He went on to graduate as valedictorian of the class of 1948 at Copper Hill High School. Then he graduated from the United States Naval Academy. He served 24 years. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 19. I served 25 and a half years. That's 49 and a half years of service to our country. Now, I wanted to give Larry Joe the benefit of the doubt, and perhaps he doesn't understand how offensive his radio and TV commercials are to a veteran. He's characterized my service as going away and coming back. He implies that I abandoned Fannin County. That's just not right. I went off to fight in 2 wars. My father fought in a war. He flew 434 combat missions in Vietnam. He implied further that he was more worthy to run for elected office. I think he owes me, I think he owes my father, and I think he owes every veteran in Fannin County an apology. You just never characterize service to our country to protect the freedoms of America as going away and coming back, not worthy to run for office.
Okay, that concludes our forum for this evening. Thank you all for being here. We want to thank the candidates and the community theater as well as ETC for participating. Thank you. Good night.